first, then tacos.
Good afternoon. This is Judge Alyssa Perez resuming the criminal docket for the 210th District Court for January 11th, 2022. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters via YouTube for public viewing. I'll go ahead and call our next case, calling cause number 2021-0D01985, State of Texas versus Jesus Manuel Aguirre. May I have announcements, please?
Roa King for the State of Texas.
Excuse me, and Daniel Avalar for Jesus Aguirre.
Ms.
Good
Ravelar,
afternoon.
do you see, good afternoon, do you see your client appearing from the police center?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Aguirre, as I mentioned, this is Judge Perez. If at some point you can't hear me, please let me know. If you can't hear me, if you can't hear your attorneys, I'll also ask you to speak loudly. I think we're doing okay on the audio. I'm going to be asking you some questions regarding your plea, so I need to swear you in. If you would please raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
You can put your hand down. Sir, would you state your full name for the record?
Jesus Manuel Aguirre.
Mr. Aguirre, as I mentioned, we're scheduled for a plea today. There will have been documents you should have reviewed with your attorney. I'm going to ask you about those. The first of which is marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Those are the plea papers in this case. Within that document, you're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to consult and cross-examine witnesses, and the right, to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Aguirre, do you recall reviewing State's Exhibit number 1, the plea papers, with your attorney and signing those documents?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Did you understand everything contained within those documents?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Mr. Avelar, have you had more than 10 days to prepare a defense in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you explain the plea papers to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering a plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Aguirre, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Mr. Avelar, do you have any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter a plea?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Aguirre, have you ever been found incompetent by any court?
Now that I know of, ma'am, I don't know.
Has a judge or a doctor ever said that you are unable to handle your personal affairs because of some mental health issue?
I mean, sometimes, but I mean, I usually understand.
Okay, so has a judge ordered at some point that you are not competent?
No,
Okay, so have you ever been examined by a doctor or psychiatrist who has found you mentally ill?
yes,
Okay, are there any conditions, either diagnosed conditions or any other condition that is stopping you, in other words, preventing you from understanding what we're doing today?
no.
Have you been able to communicate with your attorney?
Yes,
Okay, any issues there? You've been able to discuss everything regarding your plea today and everything with respect to your case?
yes, I understand.
Okay, so based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm going to find that you are competent to enter your plea today. Sir, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Where were you born?
From Paso, Texas.
Okay, so the charge against you in this case, although originally indicted as obstruction or retaliation, I understand through negotiations you were pleading to the lesser included offense of attempt to commit obstruction or retaliation. That charge, sir, what is your plea, guilty or not guilty?
Plead guilty.
Are you making your plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
I will find you are making your plea freely and voluntarily. Ms. King, would you summarize the evidence, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Were the state to proceed to trial on the indictment, the state would have proven each and every element of the offense charged, obstruction or retaliation beyond a reasonable count. And however, at this time, it is going to be a lesser included of attempt under 1244A for 211 days confinement. And at this time, the state moves to admit Exhibit 1 as the state plea paper, and Exhibit 2 as Article 3914, and Exhibit 3 as the indictment.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Without objection, states Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 are admitted. What is the plea agreement? Oh, I think you mentioned it. Go ahead, Ms. King.
Your Honor, it's going to be 211 days of confinement, and also to dismiss cause number 2021-0D01499, which is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Okay, Mr. Avelar, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And Mr. Aguirre, is that your understanding as well?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
Okay, understand that the plea agreement is not binding on the court. However, if I were to reject it, I would allow you to withdraw your plea. If I follow the plea agreement, you may not appeal this case except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. The next document I'm going to ask you about is the one-page document entitled The Trial Court Certification of Your Right to Appeal. It is a document that explains your appeal rights. Because this is a plea bargain or negotiated case, you do not have an automatic right of appeal. Mr. Aguirre, do you recall reviewing the trial court certification with your attorney and signing that document?
Yes, I agree, ma'am.
Was signed by your attorney and signed by me as well. So on your plea of guilty and the evidence introduced, I will accept your plea and at this time find the evidence substantiates your guilt. I will find you guilty of the lesser included offense of attempt to commit obstruction or retaliation, and I will sentence you according to the plea agreement and in accordance with 1244A of the Texas Penal Code to 211 days confinement in the El Paso County Detention Facility. You will receive credit for any and all time that you have served. Is there anything further, Mr. Avelar or Ms. King?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing from the state.
Thank you, Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Aguirre.
Thank you,
We're
ma'am.
all
God bless
done.
you.
Y'all are excused. Take care.
Thank you,
Hey,
ma'am.
Renee's listening. Can he call me?
Huh?
Maybe not.
Who? Who do you
Renee.
want?
Renee.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Aguirre.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you all.
Thank you. You too. Please, Sandra, I think that's all for us today. Thank you so much. Who's there? Is there somebody there?
Thank you.
Y'all have a good setup. What did you do different? The audio was so much better.
We actually have rooms now. They're
Good.
making some rooms, so I guess
It makes a huge difference. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
thank you.
Sure. All right.
I'll
Are
see you right now.
eating
No?
lunch, Danny? Oh, let's get off of YouTube.